Welcome to www.rei/tv.com. I'm Nick Sifoni, your host. And once again, I say once again because I did it once before, I'm in my car with today's episode. I had a real busy day, signing contracts, getting contracts, doing stuff online. Pardon me if I'm not looking you straight in the eye the whole time, but I'd rather look away than hit somebody or kill somebody. So today's show is going to be about lease option paperwork, the paperwork you need to get signed when you're selling a property with a lease with an option to purchase. First off, a couple little housekeeping things I want to bring up. We've got a great response to the $50 we're giving away. We asked people, I guess about a week ago or so, to help give us some names. I start the show. Welcome to www.rei/tv.com. But I want a name for it. I want to say, welcome to the something show. And we're offering $50 to somebody who can give us a good name. It doesn't have to pertain to real estate. It can pertain to anything that sounds good, is a little sexy, and will keep people's attention. So send them in. We got a lot of entries already, but nothing that's really made me leap. Now, if I had to make a decision today, I know who I'd pick, but I'm still open-minded, so send them in. Click on send comments and send them on in, or send me an email, or do whatever it takes. But we do want to hear from you. I also want to hear some questions you have. We're preparing a show. We get a lot of emails, and we're preparing a show where we're going to answer questions. So if you have questions, send them in. I really would like to answer them and help you out, and help you solve some of the personal problems you're having or questions you have on your deals. We're in the pre-launch of the show, as you know. There's a lot of things being planned. I'm absolutely buried getting things ready for when we actually officially kick off the show. Now, we're always going to have these 8, 10, 12-minute segments almost daily for you, and that's never going to change. We're just going to give you more. We're going to have question and answer calls where you can call me once or twice a month and talk to me for an hour or two asking questions. We're going to have special guests we're going to bring in. We're going to have full-blown training calls where we take lease options or subject to deals or wholesaling, and we talk about it for an hour or two instead of these short little episodes that we're doing now. Maybe that'll get you a little more light, opening up the sunroof there. So that's all coming up on the official launch, so stay tuned. You really don't want to miss the stuff that's going on, because you'll be disappointed. I tell you, it's going to be a lot of good things. In any case, today I want to talk about lease options. I'm driving to a house right now, and as I was leaving the office, my wife, I saw my wife, and she was like, what the heck's all that paperwork? And I got a load of paperwork here. I mean, there's a whole bunch of it. And it's not just one contract I have people sign when I sell a house lease to option, or when I take on a lease option tenant, and neither should you. Sometimes, when you're a new investor, you might be tempted just to run online and go to Google and type real estate contracts and take the first contracts that come in. But that's not really what you want to do, because you might do it wrong. So get some training, or get a good mentor, or just ask a little bit at a REIA meeting, at a local real estate investors meeting, and there's guys that'll be happy to help you and get some contracts into your hands. There's lots of different ways to get some good contracts. When you're signing contracts, lease with an option to purchase, you want to have a minimum of 3 contracts, 3 separate contracts. And I know that sounds odd, because a lot of people might tend to just go out, you can get a contract that's one contract, that's lease with an option to purchase. It's just one contract. You don't want to have them combined when you're selling lease with an option. You want to have a separate lease contract, a separate option purchase contract, and you should also have them fill out the purchase contract at the same time. Now, that's my opinion. If I had my bell right now, I'd read it. I'll honk the horn a little bit. The guy in front of me is looking at me like I'm nuts. He thinks I'm talking to myself back here. But that's my disclaimer. Always have your contracts, even if you buy contracts from a good guru online or somebody they're good. It's worth the $50 to have an attorney check it out. It really is. But in any case, you want to have a lease contract, an option contract, and a purchase contract. And the reason is, if you're evicting a tenant, if a tenant doesn't pay you for a while, who has a lease with an option to purchase contract, I gotta, hold on, I'm turning here. I don't want this camera to go rolling down the dashboard and out the window. You'd see me going after it. In any case, if a tenant doesn't pay you and they have a lease with an option to purchase, In most cases, the tenants don't show up in court when you want to evict them. So if you go to court to evict somebody and your tenant doesn't show up, you don't really want to go through the whole explanation of, well, it's a lease with option to purchase, because there's something known as equitable interest. And depending on your argument and the way your paperwork is written and the judge's or your attorney's interpretation, you don't want the tenant to have equitable interest in the property. Because that can really, a smart tenant, as you know, there's guys out there, there's professional tenants out there, professional, scammers that they know how to beat the system, and they'll rent the house for you and they won't make any payments, and they know how to stay there as long as they can until somebody boots them out. So in most cases, the tenants, they don't show up anyways. So keep it simple. When you go to court, all you want to do is show that judge the lease. You don't want to bring in options. You don't want to bring in, well, they were gonna buy it, because that could muck up the water. That can make it more complicated. You just want to show him a lease and say, Your Honor, they had a lease with me. Here's my lease contract. They broke it, and you want to get your judgment for your eviction. So that's one of the reasons you keep it separate. So you have a separate lease contract. You have a separate option contract that gives them the option to buy, and you have a separate purchase and sale agreement. And I signed it all at once. I also haven't signed the purchase and sale agreement when I first signed the contract. I really want my tenant to be in a buying mindset. I don't want them to think they're leasing the house from me. I want to think they're buying the house, they just haven't closed yet. That way, they can be responsible for all the repairs, all the maintenance. I knock on something. I have never done a repair. Never done a repair on a house that I've had a lease option tenant in it. Never, not once. I can't say. I made one exception. I have a house where a storm came through and tore the roof off, and my insurance company fixed it and put a new roof on and fixed the inside damage. But of all the houses I've sold lease with an option, whether I've bought them lease with option or I've bought them subject to, in every case, the tenants are fully responsible. And by them signing a contract that says they're buying the house, it gets them in the buying mindset. It makes them feel like that house is their own, because you want them to take care of it like it's their own. Well, granted, that doesn't mean they're not going to trash it. Tenants are tenants, and some of them are never going to own a home, but you want to do it separately. You also want to have some things built into your contract that give you some extra money, that give you some extra profit streams from your deals. Like every one of my contracts, if the tenant is late twice, the rent goes up $25 forever. And, that's like every tenant. Every tenant's late twice. I mean, I've never had a tenant that's not late. And, no, I haven't. And after the second month or third month, or at least after the second month they're late, that's an extra $25. I just send them a certified letter and I make an extra $25 a month from my tenant. You also want to make sure you have language in there that gives you an extra $25, $30, $40, $50 if they bounce a check to you. You want to have, whatever else in there that can create more profit streams from that tenant. When I sell lease with an option to buy, I typically give them $100 credit of every month's rent as long as they make me the rent payment on time. So if I get that rent by the 1st, when they're ready to buy that house, I give them $100 credit. And I make sure they know that. I make sure that's in the contract. That's not my idea. I actually got that from Wendy Patton, who is a very skilled and a very good educator on the whole lease option business. Wendy Patton, Patton. You might want to look her up online and you get some good information from her. She's who I learned a lot of my initial lease option. Got a lot of my initial lease option education from. So you also want to have 2 separate sets of lease option paperwork. You want to have a lease option buying set and a lease option selling set. You want different clauses in your lease and in your option when you're buying than when you're selling. When I'm buying a house on lease option, I'm typically not late, but the contracts that I give to that seller, there's no late fee if I'm late. There's no NSF fee if I bounce a check. I've never bounced a check to a seller, but if I'm buying with a lease option, I don't want any of that stuff in there. I only want it in there from selling. So you want to make sure that you have 2 sets, a pro seller lease option set of paperwork and a pro buyer lease option set of paperwork. So, depending on whether or not you're buying the property or you're selling the property, you're always in the driver's seat. You're always in control of the transaction. So, I hope that was helpful today. I hope it didn't make you too nervous that I was driving. I posted one once before when I was driving, and I got, oh my gosh, I got a handful of emails and comments saying, I thought you were going to run off the road and all kinds of stuff. So obviously I didn't, and I'm still here. The Hemi Charger's still cruising ahead, and I haven't killed anybody yet, or myself, knock on wood. So again, thanks so much for listening. I hope you got something out of this. Keep sending in those suggestions for the name of the show. We want to say welcome to the Boop Boop Show, and you just replace Boop Boop with whatever you think works. Thanks for watching again. I think I said that already. Have a great day. Go make an offer.